welcome to the show. I have got a wonderful guest with me today. Hello, Sophie. How are you? Thanks for being here.
Good, Ali. Thank you so much for having me. It's so lovely to be on here with you having a chat.
It is absolutely my pleasure. And we're just having a bit of a chat pre me hitting record. I'm like, I need to hit go because we're talking about so many good things. But before we get into all of the good things, tell me a little bit around where you've come from and where you're going.
Right. It's been a wiggly journey, as so many are, to get to where they are. But I started off in sales or real estate, and then in sales in the wine industry, and found that I absolutely loved speaking to people and making the connections, and then realised that perhaps the sales target bit wasn't my cup of tea, and got into human resources. And so within the human resources area, I soon realised that I had a passion for learning and development and mentoring young leaders and giving people a support between their sort of start and their journey through, whichever industry they were going to go into, and slowly worked my way up to be people and culture manager. So now I work as a people and culture manager for St. Paul's Lutheran Homes in Harndorf, which is an absolute privilege. I've worked there for nearly 7 years.
Wow.
And yes, and we've got 150 staff approximately. We've got 80 residents, and we have 65 independent living units. And our team is amazing. I'm so proud of where I work and what I do, and who I get to help. So my job is helping people and supporting people who look after vulnerable people.
Wow.
And I think there's no greater privilege than being able to do that. So that's where I am now. And I suppose I just really enjoy what I do.
And I think, absolutely you do. And we've caught up several times, and it just comes out of you, your enthusiasm and your love for helping people. And I think, anyone working in any kind of healthcare industry, they are very special kinds of people, particularly in the last 12 months and what we've seen that's been happening there. But tell me a little bit around, going from sales and the wine industry to now working in an aged care facility.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit around, what have been some of the challenges that you've faced, adapting HR or adapting this people management and being, being really kind and compassionate to people that are already under the pump in this industry and in this sector.
I think it's been certainly over the last couple of years, we've had the new aged care quality standards be introduced, which has put a great deal of pressure from an administrative background to get all of that implemented in the time frame, and then make sure that obviously we were doing things as we appropriately need to do them. But I suppose the main thing is our leadership team focus on supporting our staff. I think it's really important for people in leadership positions to understand their teams. And so because I've worked in the company and in the same home for the length of time that I have, I've seen a lot of things change over that period of time. And certainly workplace culture has been a big focus for us. So it's gone from residents coming into the facility who were perhaps able to take care of themselves a little bit more independently, to definitely over the last 2 to 3 years, people are coming in more high care and needing more assistance sort of on the job. So with that comes the pressure for our staff, who not only are working 24/7, so they've got a 24-hour day, 7-day a week, 365-day a year roster. They are very kind and compassionate humans, because there's no way you would get into the aged care or healthcare or care industry in general if you weren't genuinely a caring human being. And then thirdly, they're dealing with grief and loss quite regularly. So obviously our staff get so close to our residents, they become almost like family. They're sharing the most intimate moments of washing them, dressing them, feeding them, talking to them, being their one-on-one care person, and often their confidant as well. So, especially during COVID, we've had our staff who have got exceptionally extra close to our residents because there hasn't been able to have that family contact as much. So there are a lot of factors, I think, when it comes to changing or improving a workplace culture that perhaps where people are taking care of other people but not themselves as much. And the difficulty arises when people are still trying to care for people, but perhaps they're not caring for themselves as well as they could do. And then they will turn up to work a little bit tired. They might not be able to perform as well. They might have to have some time off to kind of balance the home and the work. So there's quite a few challenges that we've had to work through. But the biggest one, I think, has been around ensuring our staff stay safe and healthy and well.
Yeah. And I think just while we're talking about this, a massive shout out to, your team, because what you're saying, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's they give and give and give. And you're absolutely right. We hear this analogy of, you have to put your own oxygen mask on first.
Yes.
And that's all well and good, except, when you are giving so much to other people, especially vulnerable people, especially those that are relying on you.
Yes.
It does get tricky. And of course, last year, in the last 12 months, and probably even outside of COVID time, is we've got carers that are giving and giving and giving to your residents, and then they've got to go home and give to their families, or their parents and their children and their partners and whomever it has to be, and we're continually giving and giving. And I think that is just such a beautiful, tough certainly, but it just makes carers so unbelievably compassionate. So I know that you practice mindfulness quite a bit, and looking after leaders in this healthcare space is really a passion area for you. So tell me a little bit around, you've got your team there. What do you do? What are your practices that you do to fill your own cup?
So I am a huge advocate. So I suffer quite severely from anxiety, and I'm quite open about discussing that with people, because I'm a firm believer that mental health should not be a taboo subject, and that people can still thrive with a mental health condition as long as you've got the tools in your toolkit to be able to manage, when you realize that you're not, or maybe someone flags to you, you're not doing as well as you could be doing. So the things that I do, so I meditate. So I do a morning meditation every morning. Even if I've got my screaming children running around me, I still manage to tune out and do my 10 minutes of meditation before, we get started. My husband meditates sometimes 2-3 times a day. So he is a huge advocate for it now as well. With my team especially, I always do a check-in in the morning with them. So never do I just walk in and go straight into my office. I always walk in, say good morning, how have you been, how's your day, how's your night, how's your weekend, whatever day we're at. Monday is my favourite day of the week, so I'm always woohoo on a Monday, and then they all just go, what is wrong with you? And probably one of the things that I've implemented that was a bit surprising for my team, but was a bit of mindfulness and relaxation at the beginning of meetings. Sometimes.
Love it.
Yeah. So when people are a little bit overwhelmed or a little bit stressed, I often find even just doing some breathing techniques, or just even sitting and listening to a guided, 5-minute mindfulness practice changes the whole energy of the meeting. So I have done a couple of those off-site, and it was funny because I asked my team to close their eyes, and they all went, why would we be closing our eyes at the beginning of a meeting? And I said, come on, do you trust me? And they said, yes. So they did it. And then from everybody having rushed in, and, at the start of a meeting, people often, are rushing here and rushing there, and they sit down and they're all a bit flustered and the energy's a bit, heightened.
Slapdash,
crazy. So people just went, 5 minutes of mindfulness, this is really good. And the meeting was great. And then so that's a really common thing. I often have people in my office, so I've created you can see from behind me, I like plants and colourful things.
I love it. It looks really really relaxing.
It is. So my office actually has lots of books, so if people want to come in and have a 5-minute tune out, they can come in and have a read of a book, or they can borrow a book. I've created a staff library on particular topics. A lot of that's around self-care, mindfulness, and also specific aged care topics like dementia, or just helping people when they're sort of carers, what topics they might like to learn a little bit more on leadership or, working in teams, that kind of thing. Yeah. I've got plants in my office.
Plant therapy, yep.
I'm the crazy plant lady. So I've got about 6 plants in my office. And I also have fresh air. I know it sounds really strange, but I also always have my window open.
Yeah.
So when people come into my office, you know how often in a house or in an office or somewhere where there's that stale air,
yep.
and you can often feel quite flat or low energy. I find that because my office looks out onto a garden, I'm really lucky. I open the windows, and so people get to sit by the window at the table in my office. It's not a big office, it's quite small, but the space is a really nurturing space. So the sun comes in through the window, the air's coming in, and they can just sit there and have some deep breaths or a 5-minute tune out, or even if sometimes I will walk out and leave them in my office and let them have a few minutes to themselves. So that's sort of what I do, but I think the main thing is connection. So just knowing your teams and knowing your people.
I love that so much. And I think that I've got a few questions actually, but but one of them is when you were talking about, doing that mindfulness at the beginning. So I run a lot of corporate training, and so come in as an external facilitator, and I'll have, leaders that I'm meeting for the first time, and I do the same thing. I'm like, okay, right, you're here, let's go. You can sit down quietly, and we're just going to do a breathing exercise. And they're like, okay, haven't ever done that before, but it profoundly changes the energy. And then they, kind of have a chance to settle down and settle into the room and start learning. And I love so much that you're doing that as part of your meetings, because it completely gives people an opportunity to be really present in their meetings and, be really productive and connect. And awesome. Keep it up. I love it.
I love it.
I love it.
This is why we get on so well.
I know it is. Big love fest here.
I know.
And something that you said really early on when you were saying when you're working in the morning, Monday morning, Tuesday morning, and actually actively go and say hello to all of your team. And I remember back from my early days as a leader, it was really easy on a Monday to have, been doing my to-do list in the car on the way to work and being like, right, go. And everyone was sort of in the same space. And it took a lot of practice to get out of that and into saying good morning. Have you found that as well, that you have to actively be like, right, I need to make sure I am saying hello to my team and connecting with them? Or have you been doing it for so long now that it just all comes naturally?
A bit of both. It really depends on, I suppose, what's on the agenda, but on a Monday morning. But I do know that when I take a walk, so I'll do a walk through the administration area, which is where my office is, and say good morning to everybody in there. I often have people, it's so lovely because my office is in a hallway. So I get residents who will pass or walk past, and so I'm always like, good morning. Always keep my door open on a Monday morning so that staff, as they're walking the resis through to their breakfast or through to their meal, they can actually say good morning as well. But I try and do a bit of a walk around the facility, and our CEO does the same thing. So he models that behaviour to all of his staff. And I remember when he first started doing that, and people were like, oh my gosh, why is the CEO walking around? No, what's going on?
Alert.
What have we done wrong? And he's like, no, I'm just here to say good morning. I just want to see what's going on. Talk to me. Is there anything that's happening that I need to know about? And people it took them probably, I think it took them a good 3 to 4 months to actually start going, oh, it's okay. He's just here to say hello. He's not here to check up on us. And which was a really big culture shift, because so often, and it's really interesting because we're a standalone not-for-profit, we're very lucky that we've got all of our, I suppose, management team, administration, residential manager, all of us sit on site within a core administration area. So if anybody needs anything, they know where they can come and actually physically see us. So if that's to make an appointment, or if that's to, just make a phone call and speak to us. But I've had so many people say to me, it's so nice that we know that we can come and knock on your door. And even if you are busy, because we know you're crazy busy, You will always make time, and if you haven't, we know we can make a time on another day to see you if it's not absolutely urgent. So I think it's around, yes, there are days where it is a little bit difficult to get out of my office because, you know, we've all got stuff to get done. But the value of knowing your teams and knowing your people and genuinely caring and knowing them by name is, you could probably halve the importance on what I'm doing for the rest of the day compared to me actually physically going out and going, hey, so-and-so, how was your weekend? How's your partner? Oh, I heard you had blah, blah, blah going on last week. You know, how's that all going? And people actually know that I care and that the team cares. And I think that's worth me just rushing through the rest of my day to get some stuff done if I've taken a bit longer to say hello and have a chat. So
and I think it's part of that, you know, when we're talking about productivity and getting to-do lists done and things like that, when you've got a team that knows that you've got their back and that you care, they're more likely to perform at that higher level or go that extra mile. So whilst it seems on one hand that it's taking a little bit of extra time to get your day started, in actual fact, you've got all of these other micro bits and pieces and cogs in the wheel that are all, you know, turning by themselves, and you've got a much more productive team environment as well.
Actually, on that's really interesting you bring that topic up. So this morning, with me being on with you, I said to my team, I'm really sorry, I'm not going to be in the office until after 10:30 when I've finished this. And they're like, yep, no worries, we know exactly what to do. And then I had a staff member call in sick last night. And so we've got somebody new who's covering today. And I sent a message to the team and said, look, you know, totally understand it's going to be a bit flat stick. It's Monday. It's always crazy on a Monday. Does one of you mind just staying back a little bit later and we'll just, you know, rejig the day? I had the most amazing response. So my team said, sure, no worries. Even the one who's sick said, oh, I've done this, this, and this, and I've handed it to that person, so it's all done, ready for this. I know without a doubt, and I sent them a massive thank you this morning. I just said, I feel so privileged to work with people who will step up, who care, who will muck in and support each other. Because that's what it's all about. It's things will happen. It's how we respond to it when things happen. And when you've got that team cohesion and support and care, like genuine care, that's when you know you can be away from the office and things still will work and function.
And that's the absolute definition of, you know, a high functioning team and high performance in the workplace. I love it so much. I know that you are very passionate about, you know, supporting, obviously supporting your staff and supporting the residents and people in the healthcare, but specifically supporting leaders that are, you know, leaders that are leading their staff, but also are responsible for other people when in this care or healthcare emergency response field. So tell me a little bit around, you know, I guess your thoughts around what leaders are having to do in these instances and where your passion comes from for supporting this particular cohort.
So personally, I suppose my mental health passion comes from having lived experience and being in a leadership position. My husband also suffers quite badly from PTSD. He's a police officer, so he had seen, I suppose, firsthand perhaps maybe some of the gaps that are there for support with people with mental health conditions as a first responder. But then I've also seen, you know, within the industry, especially throughout COVID, leaders really, and I would hate to admit it because there's this persona as a leader that you should have it all together, that you should know everything, that you are always on, you know, that you have the answer to every question and that you can solve everybody's problem, and that you need to be able to do that 24/7.
Let's throw some rocks at that.
Exactly. So what I've seen in especially my industry has been, especially on forums where people sort of are able to chat with their peers, the difficulty with how you hold it all together through a crisis situation in an industry where you're not just producing a box of chocolates, you're not just producing, I don't know, a product. You're taking care of people who are vulnerable. So as a leader, you don't want to be seen to not know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You don't want to be seen to the general public, to, and I'm being very open and honest about this, to resident families, to staff. You don't want to be seen that you don't know what you're doing, or that you might not have the answer to something.
Yeah.
Because then you worry that people will feel not safe themselves to do their job. So what I've seen is leaders falling over.
Yeah.
And not coping.
Yeah.
On the outside, you would never know.
Sunshine and rainbows. Yep.
Yeah. Because we're all very good at, I suppose, putting the outward face on and being able to keep it together. But it has certainly been behind closed doors in a lot of different facilities. People really struggling.
Yeah.
In leadership positions, because they do care. We're not in this for the money.
Yeah.
You don't get into the care industry. You don't get into healthcare. You don't get into, into the police force or AMBOs for the money. It's not why. It's not your core reason for doing the job. It's to help people. And so we were talking earlier about you just give.
Yeah.
Until you've got no give left, because you've not been giving anything to yourself.
Yeah.
So one of the things, I had a chat to a couple of people who I know quite well. I said, so are you checking your emails after hours?
Yeah.
And they said, yes. I said,
Maybe.
I know, because I see them at 9:10 p.m.
Yeah.
11 p.m. you're sending emails through, and then I see them the next day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
I said, oh, because people need me. I said, yes, but they need you to be on when you're on.
Yeah.
If you're on 24/7, you're not sleeping properly.
Yeah.
You're not relaxing properly. You're never down. You're in a heightened state of anxiety.
Yeah.
Because you feel like you need to perform all the time. How do you then give yourself the space to breathe?
Yep.
So that you can be everything you want to be?
Yeah, love it.
So and that was something I learned years and years and years ago from sales.
Yep.
I used to have people ringing me for their orders.
Yep.
11 p.m. at night, I would pick up the phone. I remember one day I was, my mum was going through breast cancer treatment, and I said I would take her to an appointment for chemo. And I remember sitting there, and she's having her chemo. I'm on my laptop. I'm on my phone. I'm answering calls. I'm doing work. And then I got out of that, and it's hard to talk about, but I got out of it. It was a really big wake-up call. And she said to me, I wanted you to be there for me.
Yeah.
I wanted you to be present for me, and you were too busy working. And she said, that's not okay. And that was huge. So from that point in time, I didn't take any calls after hours. People went to message bank. The world didn't collapse.
Yeah.
The world didn't fall in. I still made my sales targets.
Yeah.
Even when I am in the job I'm in now, and I can have, I think I said, I had all the emails coming through at the beginning of our meeting.
Yep.
I park them to create space for the thing that I'm prioritizing at that moment, so that I can be fully present.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm not going to do a good job. I'm not going to be there for the people that need me. I'm not going to be there for the people at home that need me when I finish my day at work.
That's right.
And I am not my job. I love my job.
Yeah.
But I am not my job. And I think so many people in leadership positions give so much of themselves that their job, they become their job, and they can't turn off. And for me, that is so important, that we take care of our leaders in leadership positions, because they're not taking care of themselves. So how can we, in our workplaces, implement things so that even if it's 5 minutes, like we were talking about, 5 minutes of breathing, go outside, get a coffee.
Yeah.
Turn off your emails, switch off. How do we give that flexibility to our leaders who are on all the time? Yeah. And a lot of it's self-imposed.
Yeah. Yeah.
But how do we make it okay to give that space to our leaders as well?
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
It's really important.
I think I think what you and your CEO are doing around role modeling the way, like that has just such a profound impact when people are like, oh, if they're doing it, then I guess it's okay that I, take some time out and actually take a day off. And you're 100% right when it comes to, checking emails and, we're in this connected world where we can, but just because we can doesn't mean that we always should. And, you hear all the time now about boundaries, this and boundaries that, but, essentially having some boundaries for yourself and saying when I'm not at work, then I'm not at work. If it's an emergency, of course, it's going to be a different scenario, but, an admin follow-up or something that can be done tomorrow is a tomorrow task.
That's exactly right. And I think it's really interesting. So I hurt my back at the beginning of COVID. And so now I'm doing Pilates quite regularly. Right. But I do that on a Thursday morning.
Yep.
So I normally start work at 9 a.m. so I can drop my children to school and kindy, make sure I can do the walk-in and I can spend the time with them in the mornings.
Yeah.
And then on a Thursday, I have Pilates, so I don't get to work till 9:15.
Yeah.
And it was so interesting because the first few weeks, my team were like, where are you? It's 9 o'clock. I said, I'm going to be at Pilates. I'm going to be in at 9:15. I'm going to stay. I'm usually at work till 6:30 at night anyway. It's fine. I'll be here.
Yeah.
But it's been interesting seeing me giving myself that space and allowing myself to take care of myself.
Yeah.
Has now enabled, I think, my team, because I extend that flexibility to absolutely everyone. If somebody's at work and they're struggling, or they've got a personal issue, or they've got, I had one of our team members had a sports day. Our kids go to the same school.
Yeah.
And she said to me, I'm working, so I didn't think I'd be able to go to sports day. I said, why not?
Yeah.
He goes, what do you mean, why not? I said, you're a mum.
Yeah.
You are not the job.
Yeah.
We can cover you for a couple of hours if you go down there. I know you'll make up the time. And she did. She stayed back. She was still there at 5 o'clock and she normally finishes at 3.
Yeah.
So even if you're giving direct care to residents, it doesn't mean that we can't work out some form of flexibility. Even if it's you're working this week, do you need to have a day off next week?
Yeah.
On the roster, we'll cover your shift.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
Be human. Be human about it.
Be a decent human.
Be kind.
Be kind. I know.
Exactly.
We've got the same belief, don't we? Like, just be kind to each other. Kindness is the key.
Exactly.
Oh dear. Speaking of being kind, I know that you are loving, being able to support your leaders. I love what you put out on LinkedIn. If you haven't followed Sophie on LinkedIn, certainly do so, because she's putting some absolute gold thoughts out there into the LinkedIn world, which is wonderful.
Thanks, Sally.
But we were just talking about a very exciting development that's happening in your life just recently. So tell me a little bit about this new baby that you're having.
New baby. It is like a baby. It's a baby, isn't it? My gosh. Yeah, it is. It's a new business. So, of course, being a mum of 2 small children, doing university, working full time, I thought, sure, let's create a business as well.
Add it on. Yep.
Yep. Why not? Add it on. So this is a passion project for me. It's called Metta Leaders.
Yep.
Very, very new. I only registered the business in February.
Yep.
So I was very excited.
Congratulations.
It's been on thank you. Very exciting. So it's been on the boil, probably in the back of my mind for a couple of years. And it's around my passion for leadership, wellbeing and wellness, particularly mental health. So it's how do we as workplaces and businesses support, like what we were talking about, leaders who might be struggling or may not be struggling, but might not have the tools to cope or know where to go to for help, or setting up a sort of a strategic framework within the business to be able to support your leaders to thrive.
Love it.
So it's very, very close to my heart, obviously. And I have actually joined up. I've been doing a course with the most amazing female leader, Tori Archbold. So I'm doing a business attraction course, but it's actually not about that at all for me. For me, it's been about connection. And so I've connected with some amazing human beings who are right around the world, who are experts in mental health and wellbeing. And I know the more I delve into what people are doing, the more excited I get for what's out there and what can be created to support people, because particularly as we've been talking, you know, I've got the lived experience with the aged care, but then in the healthcare sector, I've got friends who are nurses who have obviously been struggling. You know, I had one of my friends the other day, she said, oh, there were 15 shifts available or something for a Friday night. Wow. And so they're having to get in the agency to then support. So people are generally not as resilient, I suppose, or as empowered to keep going. I think their buckets are sort of a little bit empty.
Yeah.
So for me, it's how can I, and it sounds massive, but how can I want to change the face of leadership wellbeing?
Love it.
Across
Go for
the
it.
world.
Do it.
And I'm dreaming big, because I think there is a huge need, and we've seen that with COVID, for people to just support other people, but businesses to also, and it's probably a two-pronged thing, really. You've got, from a business perspective, if you've got people who are thriving, you've got people who are productive, which means that you're going to get better outcomes in general from them.
Absolutely.
If you've got teams who are connected and healthy and well, your business is going to do better. You're going to have less sick leave. You're going to have staff staying longer. I mean, we're so lucky in the business that I work in St. Paul's. We've got some staff who've been there 22 years.
Wow.
It's amazing. Amazing.
That's
and
amazing.
I think, you know, we do this well where I work. Because we've worked so hard. And look, you're not going to make everybody happy all the time. Human nature. There'll be some people who go, oh, I didn't get a box of wine for Christmas. Well, you know, can't keep you happy with everything. But you get flexible working arrangements. So, you know, so you're definitely not going to make everybody happy all the time. But what strategies can you put in place as a business to be able to support your staff to live their best lives, both at home and at work? So for me, it's a hugely exciting project. My husband is ready to just dive headfirst into it, because he is, both of us stopped drinking alcohol last year as well.
Yes.
We're both.
You got some free time.
And some free money. No. So we are we're both really passionate about the wellbeing. I mean, we do mindfulness with our children. So this business, I think, can be, I don't know, for me, it's this whole other world opening up of, you've got your leadership people who need the support, but then you've also got children or leaders of children in schools, in kindies. I mean, my kids are doing mindfulness and meditation at school and kindy. This is amazing. This is going to change lives. If we can give kids the tools in school and kindy, and as they go through, we might not have as many people in their 40s, 50s, 60s when they get there struggling like we have now, because we've been able to help people create those neural pathways and create those, I suppose, ways of living that supports them to be as well as they possibly can. So there's so many things that I'm so excited, and it's you know me.
Go for it. Well, I'm excited to see and watch this unfold. I think it's an awesome place.
On the journey, you know that.
Yeah, we're all in it together.
I'll be bringing you in.
Yeah, I'm here for it. And I think it's so important. And I do think that, you know, anyone that works in healthcare is a very special kind of people.
Me too.
You know, I've got young kids that have needed emergency care at various times, and I'm like, oh my God, these people are amazing. Because really there's, you know, full on emotions from parents and families and everything else, plus vulnerable people, plus, you know, managing it all. And yes, I take my hat off.
Me too. And I don't give the direct care. So I see from a sort of a semi-removed position, I suppose, what you know, what occurs, but I'm not at the coalface. And I think that there is so much discussion around I mean, we're talking about leaders now. There's so much discussion around leaders coping, but also it's, if you're leading appropriately and as well as you possibly can, then your teams will thrive too, because you'll be there for them. Because if you're not there for them, they're just going to be going, oh, well, I'm just doing the best I can. And I think it's okay. And maybe someone will come and see me at some stage and tell me I'm doing a good job, or maybe they'll come and tell me I'm not doing a good job. Until then, I'll just keep. So I think it's a twofold thing, really.
So what would be your advice then to leaders, well, I guess your top 5 pieces of getting myself tongue-tied. Top tips, your top 5 tips for leaders out there. What would be your, if you've got a brand new leader coming into your business, or perhaps it's a friend that's a brand new leader, what are your top tips for them?
Really get to know your people.
Yeah, love it.
Number 1. In fact, that could even be like my top 3. Know your people, know your people, know your people.
Yeah,
because
love it.
Without knowing who you work for and with, not who you're looking over, not who you're standing over, not who you're managing. It's who are you working with.
Yeah, love it.
And so for me, know your people, absolutely number 1. Work on yourself and know yourself well enough to know what your triggers are.
Oh, that's good.
So that you can respond appropriately. Now, that's not going to work every time. Because we're human beings and people press your buttons. And we all have our triggers, and nobody is perfect. As much as we all like to think we're amazing, nobody is perfect. As I tell my children regularly, Mummy is certainly not perfect. But know yourself well enough to know what annoys you, what frustrates you, what type of behaviour from other people will incite some kind of response from you that may not be positive. Because if you know what you can't cope with very well, you can then work on those. So that's number 2. Number 3, be kind.
Love it.
Be kind to others, but be kind to yourself.
100%.
I am not the best at being kind to myself. I'm getting better, but now I do things like doing my Pilates on a Thursday morning, or I'm going off and I'm having a bath and I'm locking the door so nobody can get in with my music and essential oils. Being kind to others as well. So I think genuinely understanding that people are people. When they're at work, we expect certain behaviours, of course, from them, but knowing that people will have stuff going on at home that they're probably going through inside when they're still trying to work. So
absolutely.
Be kind.
Love it.
Off the back of that, so that's number 3.
3,
Number 4. Number 4, set clear boundaries and expectations.
Love it.
For yourself and for others. So you know me, I'm a very straight shooter. I say exactly what I think. I'm quite blunt. I care a lot about others, but I also expect a lot of people, and I expect a lot of myself. So for instance, we've got collective commitments. So as an example, and one of them is we walk the talk.
Yes, love it.
So we also don't walk past something that we don't believe is correct or the right thing. So if somebody's not doing the right thing according to our code of conduct, according to our collective commitments, according to being a kind human being and doing your job appropriately, I will pull you up on it. So I expect the same of when I'm not doing something that someone agrees with. So my team knows that they can come to me and say, you said blah, 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 blah. It made me feel blah, 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 blah. And I go, oh, my Lord, I am so sorry. I had no idea that that's how I came across. I had no idea that's how I made you feel. And I'm really sorry, and I will do better.
Love it.
That's so for me, that's around the psychological safety part within a business. So that's number 4. Number 5, have fun.
Love it.
Because if you can't laugh, I am a huge laugher. I laugh at myself all the time. I'm a big dag. I have a very probably dirty sense of humour, which probably offends some people at times, but I'm me. I'm unapologetically me. I've spent so many years squashing down who I am as a female leader, worried that I would offend somebody or say something inappropriate or not fit to the societal expectations of what a female should be in business.
Yeah.
And now I say, I wear lots of colour, I'm loud, I laugh lots, we can have lots of jokes, let's get the work done as well.
Yeah.
You know,
have a good time on the way. Yeah.
Have a good time on the way. Enjoy what you're doing. If you don't get up in the morning and you don't genuinely want to be where you're going, be there.
Love it.
And it's the same for everybody at work. If you don't love your job, like, I get people have to do jobs to make money and all of that. I get that. But on the side, what's your passion? What's your passion project? What are you working on to move yourself forward into an area which you do love?
Yeah, that is so good. I love, I've just said I love it about 80 times. I'm coming to work for you. This has been incredible. I'm such a huge fan of, you know, the message that you're sending out into the world. I can't wait to watch and see where Metta Leaders goes and unfolds, and the impact that you have worldwide on healthcare. I think it's absolutely incredible what you and the team are doing. So
gorgeous, thank you.
Please send that down the line to the rest of your team. But yeah, a very, very big thank you to the amazing work that you guys all do there.
It's the team, it's not me. They're doing amazing. I'm just so privileged to work with them. Honestly, I am. They're the most amazing humans. I can't, as I said, I could talk all day on how much I admire all of them.
Oh, that's
I really
amazing.
could.
So good. And if you want to catch up with Sophie, check out the show notes, and I'll put all of the links in there to follow Sophie on LinkedIn and also the Metta Leaders, so you can also follow the journey and get behind Sophie and her message and all the incredible work that she does. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ali. Oh, and P.S., just before you chop us off, your new book. Yes, and she hasn't paid me to say this. Seriously, Ali is one of the most amazing, courageous leaders. Please get on her book. I'm excited. I can't wait to order your pre-order.
Pre-order's open.
Courageous Leaders. Brilliant. So excited.
Thanks for the plug. I'll have to,
no worries.
Talk about PR. All right. Thank you.